Hi friends, Naji here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So we are continuing a discussion with Apache Spark and specifically PySpark, and in this video we will be discussing on data frame. So what are data frames? It's a distributed collection of data organized into named columns. So this is actually similar to tables in our relational database, and it's just like a spreadsheet or Excel, and it's like a similar to data frame in Python. Okay, so this is optimized for parallel processing. So data frame which has a rows and columns. That's why we said that is similar to relational databases. So key features are distributed computing, and it has a schema. Rows and columns will be there, and it's a immutable. So this is we have discussed it in multiple times, and which means that whenever we create a new data frame, the old one will remain same. So lazy evaluation. So whenever we do the transformation, it will keep a track of transformation, and the execution only happens when we do the actions. So that is what we call the lazy evaluation. Okay. So all these points are we discussed in our previous videos. So that's why like I am not specifying much on these points. Okay. And here we can see we will able to read data frames from JSON, Parquet files, Hive tables. These are the few, and it supports local file system, HDFS, and S3, and it also support the external database also. So these are the few the type file format that PySpark supports, and a few file systems. Okay, it will support more than this, but I just point out major things. Okay. So that's about the introduction. Now we can do some coding. So here I have my Visual Studio code is open here, and we have our PySpark installed in the requirement file. So I have few data sets. Okay. Now let me add a file. I can add dataframe.ipynb. So we can import few things. We can import from Spark. Okay, first let me select the kernels first. Okay, so I'm selecting my kernel. Okay, we can import from PySpark. We can SQL. We can import Spark section. Okay, now we can initialize the session. So this is the same code that we have done in our previous sessions. I can use a builder, then I can set a app name, data frame test. Now I can set my local system. Can say that is local star. Now we can do the get or create. Okay, so this will create a Spark session. Now we can have the Spark. Okay, so this is our Spark, and we can see the Spark UI here. Okay, now it is empty. So when we start doing some jobs, we will able to see that here. Okay, now first what we can do, we can create a Spark from what we called from a first. Let me select the data set. Okay, first we can use this particular CSV to load the data frame. Okay, so it's I can say that player data frame. Okay, now I can read it from that read.csv. Okay, so I'm going to select this particular path. So let me copy relative path. Now I can paste here. Okay, so this is how we read the CSV files, spark.read.csv. Now let me execute this. Okay, so it is done. Now we can see it's can show is 5. Okay. Okay, so here we can see that its header is not there. So let me let me show you one more thing. So it's showing like 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3 like that. So we have to specify the header. Now we can see the schema also. Okay, we will have option to print the schema. See, all these columns are considered as a string file. Okay, but actually we know that this is a double and this is a integer and this is a string, right? So for that, what we can do, we can have mentioned one more thing. To set the header, I can set header is equal to true, and I can say that inference schema is also true. Okay, now let me execute this. We can show 5. See, here we can see the header is selected. Now I can print the schema. So now the schema is changed, right? So it says it is a string double and this is also double. So this is coming as in a, so this, when we do the inference schema, the PySpark will automatically identify the data type of the fields. Good. Now we can see number of partitions for this one. So for that I can do rdd dot get num partitions. Autocomplete is not working. Let me see. Okay, now the number of partitions is 1. Okay, so what we can do to repartition this, I can do, and I can use another method. For that I can use player df dot repartition. I can use the repartition and I can repartition to 5. Now we can execute the same command. I can use that rdd dot get num partitions. Okay, so this is actually not coming here, so we have to assign this to a variable. Let me do like this. Now we can execute. So here we can see the number of partitions is 5. So as we did in our RDD example, I can do another collect one. So we will able to get the partitions like gloom dot collect. So this will give the partitions information. So gloom is actually, sorry, this is rdd dot gloom. Okay. So if we select the length of collect, we will able to see the five partitions. We will able to see, I can select 0, the 0th element. So we will get the records in that first partition. Okay, so that is how this works. Okay, now we can see, here we can see how can we specify. So here we have we have said that, okay, inference schema, so this will automatically specify the schema, but sometimes some mistake will happen. So we can specify our own schema. Okay, for that what we can do, the PySpark is providing option for that. So we can have a from PySpark we can import SQL.type and we can import struct field. Okay, let me make it import struct type comma struct field. Okay, now I can mention the integer type, I can mention the double type, and I can mention the string type. Okay, so once this is done, I can mention the schema. So here what I am going to do, I'm not going to specify everything, but I'm going to select only the few records with specific schema. Okay, for that I can say that, okay, here I can say struct type. Here I can mention the struct type as the first one. Let me select the player name. First column name is player name. Okay, now I can mention the type, it's a string type, and I can mention the nullable as true. Now I can use the struct type. Now the second field is rounds, and here I can mention the integer type, and I can mention nullable true. Now third one is, we have the fireway percentage. I can mention like this. and it's also this round is actually a double type. So let me correct this. This is a double type, and this is also double type, and I can mention the null double as true. Okay, for the time being I am going to select only the 3 fields from it. So let me see some issues there. 4 were given. Struct type, sorry, this is actually struct field, not struct type. Struct field, this has to mention struct field. A mistake, let me correct this. This is the field, struct field, and here I can mention the struct field. Now let me execute this. Okay, now we can mention the struct type. Okay, so dict, I can mention schema equal to struct type. Here I can mention the field as a dict schema. Now we have our schema. Now we can try to read this particular CSV. So I am here, and let me copy this and paste it here. Oh, copying is not working. So let me write it. Spark dot read dot CSV, and my file is in data set slash, and here I can mention the schema is equal to schema. Okay. Now we can read it. Now I can to make it pandas, I can do something like this. I can do a 2 pandas. So this will be two pandas is not working. No module named pandas. Okay, so I have to install the pandas. Let me do that quickly from here, maybe. Install pandas. So we can move this into the requirement file later, but let me do it this in this way. So it's executing. In another way, we can also use the show, but show is not good to see. But if you convert to pandas, we will able to see that in a just similar to the pandas framework. Okay, the Python pandas. Okay, so let it complete. So we need to discuss couple more things with respect to CSV, then we can discuss about the JSON files. Okay, so here let me see. So this is the show. So currently we have selected only the 3 columns. Okay, and here also, like if you do like these 2 pandas, sorry. So here we will able to see that like this. Okay, here we can see names also. See, here we will able to see the 3 in a pandas format. Now here I can also print the schema. Okay, here we can print the schema, and we will able to see the player name is a string, and round is a double, and fiery percentage is a double. Okay, good. Now let me print the one more thing. Player df dot show 5. So let me print this. Okay, now we can see how can select few summaries. For that, what I can do, I can have a player df dot select. I can select few columns. Okay, maybe I can select the rounds. Now I can select top 10 maybe. Okay, now I can do a summary. I can select min value, and I can select max value, and I can select count. Okay, now I can limit to 5, and I can convert to pandas if you need. Okay, otherwise you can just put to show. Okay, see, so here we will able to see the summary. We will able to see the summary. We will able to the minimum value, maximum value, all those things we will able to see with respect to this particular two columns. Okay. So that is the basic things about CSV, and this will work with like most of the data frames. Okay, so when we read it from the JSON or when we read it from the Parquet file, all those features will work. Okay, now we can see how can we read a JSON file. Okay, so this is a sample JSON file. Let me show you how can we read this. Okay, so here I can say sample JSON. Okay, so here we can do the spark dot, everything will start with spark dot read dot, and we can do a JSON, right? So JSON I can do. Now I can specifically say that dataset slash sample dot JSON. Okay, let me execute this. This is done. I can do a sample JSON dot show. I can say 5. There is no 5 records is there, but execute. See, we will able to see that. Now let me, maybe one more thing we can do. We can just show the sample.json type. So we will able to see it's a PySpark DataFrame. Okay. Now we can read one more JSON file. Here this sample.json file, if you look, there is only one line is there, right? Or it's in a single line. So we can see about the multi-line CSV. So there is another CSV file. This is a multi-line CSV. Okay, so let me see multi-line. Sorry, not CSV. It's a JSON. Multi-line JSON. What I can do? I can do a spark dot read dot JSON. Okay. So what we have done earlier, we have actually done dataset slash. Okay, this one. Now let me read this. How I can have a show 5. We'll see the result. Okay, so here we can see some error, something like this. Okay, it's CSV. I'm doing JSON. Okay. So here we are getting some error. Okay, because it's a multi-line. So what we need to do, we need to give one more parameters, that is called the option. Here we can set multi-line and I can set it to true. Okay, now let me execute this. Okay, sorry, not here, made a mistake. We have to give here. So this is the multi-line, right? Here I can mention option. Here I can mention multi-line. Now here I can set it to true. Now let me execute this. This is fine. Now we can see the show. See, now it's working fine. Okay, so that is about what we called, that is about the multi-line reading. Now we can try one more thing. We can try to create is a custom way. Okay, for that let me create a sample data. I can make a sample data. So let me do something like this. A few JSON I can create here. Let me have the name. I can give name as Naji. Now I can give a job. I'm a data scientist. Now here I can give a name as ABC. ABC job is a software engineer SC. So I can execute this. So this is a sample data. Okay, now let me add a few more cells here. Data df, what I can do a spark dot create data frame from data. Okay, so here also I will able to see data.df dot show two records I can see. So we will able to see these details. Okay, so this is how we create a data frame from a JSON or dict. So another thing we can do, maybe one more thing I want to show. So we can see we have a player.df, right? We have a player.df. Here we can do a write command also. Okay, so write dot CSV. So if you want to write, we can write it test.csv. We can write it something like this. Okay, so this is the write method. Okay, so we will able to see we have a so this is the partition data. So we have partition to 5, right? That's why we are getting the 5 files here. Okay, so earlier, so we can see this partition number. Okay, so that then you will get an idea. df.rdd.get num partitions. Okay, if you look on that, we will have a 5 partitions, right? So here we can see 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so that's why we are getting to the 5 parts. If you want to in a single file, we can repartition it to 1, then you can write it to a file. Okay, so that's all about in this video. So we have covered the basic details of PySpark DataFrame, its advantages and its different methods, like how can we read it, the CSV file, JSON file, and also how can you create data frame from a dict, and how to write back to the disk. Okay, so that's we have discussed. That's it. So we can come up with a another new interesting video. So that's all about in this video. Please do like and subscribe. Have a nice day. Bye bye.